if this was about overthrowing the government, why aren't they charged with overthrowing the government? Well, here you go. Charges are now in place. Sedition or seditious conspiracy is the statutory language, which means to overthrow the state. That's what it means. Well, you got members of the Oath Keepers. They have been charged. A former FBI agent is now saying more charges like this are coming. Here's the video.
Anyone that doesn't believe January 6th was an absolute disaster and that the White House was ultimately responsible has just buried their head in the sand and doesn't want to hear what's really going on in the world. On Capitol Hill, there seems to be this sort of belief that they can kind of just deny that it occurred or try and change the story. But what they keep forgetting is the number of indictments that will continue to land probably in the coming months that are similar to the indictment, the seditious indictment that came out last week about the Oath Keepers, which is an awful document. It's like nothing we've ever seen in terms of a domestic extremism case that was literally there to try and overthrow the country. So that's going to be hard to just sit and ignore and not speak about. As those roll out, those are hard facts. And it reminds me of other times where we've seen government investigations unfold. I think the other part of it is how and when will these connect to the leadership or others inside the White House? If the Department of Justice ultimately ends up pursuing some cases based on monetary or communications with those that are inside Capitol Hill, or if many of those that have been charged now go into some sort of an agreement trying to get out or reduce their sentences, and they point to people that were in the Capitol or in the White House during the insurrection, it's going to get really ugly. Those details will spill out into the open. So I'm a little confused in terms of the strategy from some on Capitol Hill and the Republican Party about trying to just ignore this, because it's going to go on for the next 3 to 4 months, and the details are not going to be pretty.
Yeah, and I think it's actually going to go on longer than that. So let me give you some background. That was former FBI Special Agent Clint Watts, okay? Now, last week, you had 11 Oath Keepers who were arrested for seditious conspiracy. So Stuart Rhodes, the leader and founder of the far-right Oath Keepers militia, was arrested on Thursday and charged along with 10 others with seditious conspiracy over what prosecutors said was their wide-ranging plot to storm the Capitol on January 6th last year and disrupt the certification of Joseph R. Biden Jr.'s electoral victory. Now, I've been saying that from day one. You have heard me debate this in the bullpen. You have heard me talk about it right here on Indisputable. I have said from day one, this should have been the charge for all of them, because their expressed intent was to stop the electoral process and the certification. Now, Republicans push back and they say, oh, they had no real plan. I mean, that was not a good plan if they had one. That's like saying, oh, no. It wasn't a real terrorist attack. They only killed a few people. No, it can't be a real terrorist attack. All right? Now the government is wising up. Good for them. It took a federal judge and others calling them out. The arrest of Mr. Rhodes, 56, was a major development in the sprawling investigation of the Capitol attack. He and other Oath Keepers are the first to be charged with sedition among the more than 700 people accused so far of taking part in the assault. Now, here's another part. They say it's difficult to prove. The charge of seditious conspiracy, which can be difficult to prove, requires prosecutors to show that at least 2 people, that's your conspiratory element, at least 2 people agreed to use force to overthrow government authority or delay the execution of a US law. It carries a maximum of 20 years in prison. The last time the federal government or federal prosecutors brought a sedition case was in 2010, when they accused members of the Michigan militia of plotting to provoke an armed conflict with the government. They were acquitted. Adrienne, what does your legal mind say about this?
Well, I think you were right in terms of they all could have been charged with sedition from the jump, because we all know that they were there to impede the actual vote count and to keep Biden from taking office. But it's finally good to see that they are actually doing what they should have been doing, because we've seen too often when there are individuals who look like me and you that the government has no problem trumping up the charges.
Yep.
And now, for some reason, it seems to be that they're a little bit reluctant. So it's good because this is important for individuals who may be planning this again in 2024, right. And so, or whenever the next election is. It's just been such a blur with these years. But in terms of getting to the place where we need to be and ensuring people know that there will be some consequences in the event that you try to interfere with things again, that is essential. So I'm glad the government finally got it right.
Yeah, I agree 100%.